Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah. I know it's late. We've had a lot of good talks. So my talk, if you look at the brochure, it's called TED Style Talk, right? So the best comment I heard about that was from my daughter. She said, "You're not TED, and you lack style." So we'll see how it goes. Okay. So I. Yes. Okay. Okay. I'm going to continue on what has been talked about on AI so far, and I'll try to keep it in a more story-like fashion. So the slides are just to move me forward and back. So we'll talk about AI. We'll talk about what got us here and what we need to get us there, right? So from a story perspective, this goes back about 60, 70 years ago when the semiconductor industry was born. And we can sort of break the industry into 4 eras, right? One was the mainframe era. A lot of us remember punch cards. We used to submit them and then come back in the morning to check if the code ran. Any of the people here? Some of us with gray hair. Then it went into the PC era, right? And again, people in the room remember that was the only room with AC. So a lot of us, there was AC envy, people, because that was the only room which had AC and the computer was inside. You had to take off your slippers to get there. Then the mobile era. That's when our kids figured out that texting is better than talking, right? To me, that's the mobile era. And now we are at the AI era. So over the past 60 years, the industry went from 0 to about 600 billion revenue, right? In the next 5 years, the industry is trying to double that. So think about that. It took 60 years to get to about 600 billion. We are now talking about $1 trillion industry in the next 5 years driven by AI. It's very, very, very exciting and a little worrisome at the same time. And Elon Musk captured it best. He said, AI is likely the best or the worst thing that can happen to humanity, right? And so hold your thoughts on that. I'm an optimist. I believe it's best, and we'll see how we get there. And a lot of this talk is the what got us there, right? So from a what got us there are many people here from the semiconductor industry. Transistors came in the 60s, and there was something called scaling, 2D scaling. You kept shrinking the chip, the transistor, and that worked because as you shrank the chip, the transistor, the area went down, the cost went down, and because of something called Dennard's law, the power went down, performance improved. So basically trifecta, everything got better. Performance, price, cost, everything went down. This sort of stopped in the 2010 time frame, right? And that's when you might have heard Moore's law is slowing and all that. Because this stopped. Shrinking did not cause performance to go up, shrinking did not cause cost to go down, and we reached a sort of place where we had to take pause. And that's when materials came, right? All through the semiconductor journey, new materials have always come. Whenever there's been a problem, there has been new materials. And this is sort of the unsung hero of the semiconductor industry. Whenever there has been a problem, there has been a material solution that has solved the problem, right? That continued. And we are at a point where there are even more innovations. The transistor went from 2-dimension to 3-dimension, new materials, new architectures. Everything has come in, but we now have a new problem, right? AI is going to now demand a lot more in terms of what it takes, right? I think a lot of you have the data behind it. Just from the data centers, today consume about 2% of the electricity. By 2030, it's going to be about 12%, and that keeps growing. I read a Deloitte report about that being even more by 2040. So one of the big things that all of us in this room should think about, don't take that for granted. If you just take the power that it takes for a bit to flip and the number of bits that are going to be there, there isn't enough energy in the world by 2040 that can just do this, right? So just from an energy consumption perspective, this is going to be a big challenge. The industry is working on a lot of things. Again, new materials, backside power, different kinds of transistors, gate-all-around. There's lots of innovation, and of course packaging. Putting things together differently can get us to that place. But there are 2-3 other things that we need to take care of. So maybe this is a big takeaway from this talk in terms of there isn't one thing that's going to make AI happen. The first is, can you get power? So everybody, if you look at AI data centers, the big thing they're all looking at is, where is my power going to come from? Am I going to build nuclear power plants? Where is my power going to come from? And how is it going to be green? Number one. That's the grid decarbonization. The second is the energy efficient compute. And that's where materials, hardware, software, manufacturing, all of that come into play to make that transistor more efficient. And the third is, how do you then reduce the energy in terms of consumption? EV and different ways of silicon carbide, gallium nitride, getting those materials into the consumption part. So all of these need to happen. So, and that's where I think this room is very important. This has people from the industry, AI, architecture, applications, policy, government, industry, academia. So this will require sort of collaboration across the stack to make this happen. So from an India perspective, right, this from a USIBC setting, how can companies work together and how can India be a part of this? India is 20% of this global semiconductor design talent. So one of the big things that's going to make this happen is the architecture part. That talent exists here. India is going to be also the end market. Out of the trillion, 100 billion is going to come here, and a lot of innovation is going to happen here. Think about during the feature phone, we had missed calls and things like that. India knows how to innovate and make things frugal, right? So I think India will provide a lot of the horsepower that goes into making this happen. And my last slide, so going back to my first thing about the Elon Musk reference to AI, I think all of us here are optimists. We believe that AI will do good things for us and the society, and we want to make it happen. To do that, first, collaboration across the stack, across the people here. How do we use materials innovatively to get us there? And I also believe that India will play a big part in making this happen. Thank you.